Which officer's incompetence did your NCO course quietly fix for months? Lieutenant Vaughn arrived at our company fresh from West Point, 22 years old, eager to prove himself, and completely clueless about actual Army operations. First week, he scheduled a company formation for 4:30 hours. Problem was, half our soldiers were on night shift at the motor pool. Couldn't be in two places at once. Sergeant First Class Curtis pulled him aside. Sir, we need to adjust that timeline. Night crew doesn't end until 0600. Vaughn shook his head. The manual says morning formation at 0430. That's what we're doing. Curtis nodded slowly. Understood, sir. Then he quietly rescheduled everything. Told night shift to ignore the formation. Moved morning formation to 0630 without telling Vaughn. When the lieutenant showed up at 0430, Curtis was there alone. Sir, I checked the duty roster. Seems there was a scheduling conflict. I took the liberty of moving formation to 0630. Everyone will be available then. Vaughn looked annoyed but accepted it. Thought he was still in control. This became the pattern. Vaughn would issue some impossible order based on textbook knowledge. The NCOs would quietly fix it behind his back. He scheduled vehicle maintenance during our only authorized training time. Sergeant Wade simply did the maintenance at night instead. Never told Vaughn. He ordered all weapons locked in the armory during a field exercise. Sergeant Felix kept half of them out, citing a regulation about security requirements Vaughn had never heard of. The worst was the supply inspection. Vaughn decided we needed to account for every piece of equipment in the company. Every wrench, every bolt, every zip tie. Wanted a complete inventory in 3 days. Physically impossible. We had thousands of items. Would take weeks, not days. The NCOs held a secret meeting that night. I was a specialist, not invited, but I overheard them through the office wall. He's going to get us all flagged for failing this inspection, Wade said. Curtis was quiet for a moment. We make it work. Create the inventory he wants. Fudge the numbers where we need to. That's falsifying documents, Felix pointed out. It's protecting our soldiers from an incompetent officer, Curtis replied. Choose your poison. They worked for 72 hours straight. Created a complete inventory that looked perfect on paper. Mixed real counts with estimates. Made it seem like we'd done the impossible. Vaughn presented it to the battalion commander, took full credit, got praised for excellent accountability. Had no idea the whole thing was fiction. This went on for 6 months. The NCOs running everything while Vaughn thought he was in charge. Company somehow maintained high performance ratings despite having a clueless lieutenant. Then came the field training exercise. 2 weeks in the woods, no access to base, no way for NCOs to quietly fix problems. First day, Vaughn planned our movement route. Led us straight through a swamp. Didn't check the terrain map properly. Curtis tried to suggest an alternate route. Vaughn shut him down. I planned this route myself, Sergeant. We're following it. So we followed it. Spent 4 hours wading through waist-deep water and mud. Lost 2 vehicles to the terrain. Soldiers exhausted before we even reached the objective. Second day, Vaughn forgot to coordinate with artillery units. Set up our camp right in their firing range. We had to emergency relocate at midnight when shells started landing 100 meters away. Third day, he miscalculated our fuel needs. Ran out of diesel halfway through a movement. Entire company stranded for 6 hours waiting for resupply. By day 4, even Vaughn knew something was wrong. Found Curtis sitting alone after midnight looking defeated. Sergeant, why is everything falling apart? Curtis looked at him for a long moment. Permission to speak freely, sir? Granted. Because for 6 months, we've been fixing your mistakes. Back on base, we had resources and time. Out here, we don't. This is what your leadership actually looks like without us covering for you. Vaughn's face went red. You've been undermining my authority? No, sir. We've been protecting the company from your inexperience. There's a difference. The conversation could have ended Curtis's career. Insubordination, disrespect, all of it documented in the middle of a training exercise. Instead, Vaughn sat down next to him. Tell me what I've been doing wrong. They talked until 0300. Curtis laid out every mistake, every fix, every time the NCOs had saved the company from Vaughn's decisions. Next morning, Vaughn called formation. I owe you all an apology. I've been leading with ego instead of listening to experience. That changes now. Rest of the exercise, he deferred to Curtis on everything. Asked questions instead of giving orders. Actually learned how things worked. Back at base, Vaughn requested a mentor from battalion. Spent 6 months learning from a senior captain before taking real command again. 2 years later, Vaughn was a captain himself, one of the best officers in the brigade. Always credited Curtis for teaching him what West Point couldn't. Curtis retired last year after 28 years. At his ceremony, Vaughn showed up wearing his colonel rank, stood in front of everyone and said, "This man saved my career by having the courage to tell me I was failing. Best leader I ever served under." Handed Curtis a plaque that read, "To the NCO who leads from behind so officers can learn to lead from the front." Curtis still has it hanging in his living room right next to his retirement certificate and a photo of that terrible field exercise where everything went wrong. Says it's his favorite award because it represents the moment he stopped fixing problems and started teaching solutions instead.